Fertilizer injectors like this dosatron here are an essential piece of equipment in every grower's toolbox. While they tend to be pretty reliable, they can benefit from an occasional calibration, which can be done in a few quick and easy steps. To start, make sure you have a 5-gallon bucket and make sure you know exactly where the 5-gallon mark is on that bucket. Different buckets hold a total different volume, so it's important that you accurately mark where that 5-gallon mark is. This bucket has a nice ring right here to indicate the exact 5-gallon mark, but not all buckets are created like this. It may be necessary to grab a 1-gallon pitcher or even a 1-gallon jug and fill it 5 times to mark the exact 5-gallon mark in this bucket. For your smaller container, it could be something like a graduated cylinder or a small measuring pitcher. For this calibration, you want to make sure you have something that holds at least about 8 fluid ounces or around 250 milliliters of solution. If you have your injector set at 1 to 100, it will take roughly 6.4 fluid ounces to fill up this 5-gallon bucket. Our goal here is to figure out exactly how much water the dosatron is taking up to fill this bucket to exactly the 5-gallon mark. So we need to make sure that it has just a little bit of extra volume in there so that when you get close to filling up your 5-gallon bucket, you're not sucking air when you're getting this container close to the bottom. Once you're ready to do your calibration, the first step is to fill up your small measuring pitcher or graduated cylinder to about the 8-ounce line or the 250 milliliter line. It's important that you get this exactly right so we know exactly how much we're starting off with. Once you've filled your measuring pitcher or your graduated cylinder, you're ready to put your hose from the dosatron into the measuring cup. Make sure the bottom of the siphon or the bottom of the hose is touching the bottom of your container to make sure that it's not sucking air once it starts running low. Next, you're able to just start filling your 5-gallon bucket. And again, remember to fill it to exactly that 5-gallon line. Once we've filled up our 5-gallon bucket, we are able to then take the hose out of our measuring device and see how much water was taken up by the dosatron to fill this bucket to 5 gallons. We started off with about 8 fluid ounces and ended up with about 3.5 fluid ounces, indicating that it may not be taking up as much as it should be. This may be an indication that the calibration is slightly off, and it may mean that we need to do some maintenance or repairs on our dosatron. Remember to always follow the manufacturer recommendations and guidelines when making any kind of maintenance or repair to your fertilizer injector. You may want to repeat this process multiple times to make sure there's not a lot of variability, which is another indication that your fertilizer injector may require maintenance. Another way to check and make sure your fertilizer injector is working properly is by trying to check the EC coming out of the hose end, depending on how you mixed your fertilizer and at what rate you mixed it. Every water-soluble fertilizer should have a table somewhere on the label that indicates different EC values based on different parts per million nitrogen that the fertilizer is mixed at. Making sure that the value of the EC coming out of the hose end is close to what is on the fertilizer label is a great way to make sure that your injector is working properly. One thing to keep in mind as well is that the water that you're using, the base clear water EC, is going to also have an impact on your final EC. So for instance, if your clear water EC is about a 0.5, you're going to need to keep that in mind that the value that's on the bag is probably going to be about 0.5 less than what you should be seeing coming out of the hose end. If you have additional questions on calibrating a fertilizer injector, mixing fertilizers, or general plant nutrition, feel free to reach out to the Ball Seed Tech team for help.